If you're a student, then I want you to hear this. AI is more than a tool that you only use for cheating. It's a tool that will change how you do education. So, because of that, I want to share just a few strategies that I recommend that you use whenever you're trying to, obviously, learn something. So, let's jump right into this. When you're trying to do a problem, you want to start by opening a textbook. So, let's open this here, and let's go to a random problem. This is a calculus textbook, and it says something like, calculate the dot product of two given vectors. Okay, I have no idea what that means. So let me copy this, paste it in here. So now I have the question. So let me give it the goal. My goal is to understand what a dot product is and what a vector is. The reason I'm explaining the goal is because it refines the knowledge of the AI and it tells it what exactly you want it to explain. Because otherwise it may try to explain one thing or another thing or another thing, and then eventually you just end up not understanding anything. And it opens itself up to more mistakes. So let's jump right back into this. You also want to start by giving it a role. So now that we have a goal, let's tell it, you are a professor teaching me this topic. The reason I chose the professor is because it refines its pedagogy and it basically explains the way that you want it to teach you. So if you have a professor explaining it, it's going to be much different from having, let's say, dancer explain it. So when you're using prompts and roles and things like that, just make sure you're clear on that. What do you want to be taught like? And in my case, I want it to be like a professor explaining the topic. Okay, so now that we have that out of the way, we have the role, we have the goal, and we now need the constraints. What I don't want is for you to make it overly complex. Simple. And I shouldn't come out more confused than before. And now that we have the constraint, we could jump straight into the step-by-step. So, when you are giving this response, I want you to go over the material and give me a few examples and analogies which will help me understand this better. The reason I told it to give me examples and analogies is because when you're using AI, it can either get too theoretical, it could get too conceptual, or it'll get too simple. So when you tell it to give examples and analogies, it essentially gives it permission to explain the theoretical side of it, and later it allows it to explain the more, I guess, foundational, or not foundational, but a simpler explanation of the more theoretical side of it. So it's kind of like explaining inflation as banks putting more money in the economy versus it's kind of like when you buy a lot of stuff in a game and it loses value type of thing. So if we send this, we'll get a quick step-by-step problem. It'll tell you first, blah, blah, blah. So when you go through things like this, you just want to be extremely clear on what you want. There's a million different frameworks you could follow. There's a trillion different responses or prompts or whatever you could try to get. But the main idea is that all you have to do is tell it what you want, and you want to tell it what you don't want. That's pretty much it. What you do want and what you don't want. As long as you do those two things, you're always going to be closer to the response you want compared to the past. So just remember what you don't want and what you do want. And then as you use it more, you could get more refined, add roles into it, add step-by-steps, examples, and little things like that. So that's the end of this video. I just went over quickly just basic prompting strategies as you're trying to use this in your education. So if you found any value in this, be sure to leave a like, subscribe, and look forward to future videos. So I'll see you. I hope you learned something, and have a good day or night or week. Bye bye.